Great, thanks so much, Luis, for directing us on the challenges that we have. But we will now switch a little bit let's say, the rhythm, because the question in the room is, what can we do, and what do we do with this project to really support, to address that challenges? And here's a mind shift. Here's a new way of thinking about it, and I'm happy to introduce you to the topic of the MauPHI project. Let's dive into it, Luis, on the next chart. So here you see the overall vision. And Darren, I think you said that the topic that we addressed, that we started 3 years, 2080, together with you, MTA, I think is more up to date than ever. So when we started that project, we had in mind that the vision should be that Mauritius becomes a green destination to visit and a sustainable island to live. Here you already see that for us, the sustainability concept is embedded in the quality concept, and quality is enriched, not only quality to favor any wishes of your clients, but also to balance it with the needs of the local population. If you don't reach that, if we don't find a good balance on that, as in our discussion in the small group, we have a huge challenge. So these are the 4 main areas where this project is heading on. The first is tour operators and suppliers are mobilized to empower their network to promote, deliver sustainable products. Later on, I show you a little bit why we chose to focus so much on tour operators, because I hope you don't take it as a bad picture, but for me, it's like the spider in the web. You have 350, 360 tour operators on the island of Mauritius, small and big ones, and every tour operator is connected to a lot of dots on your island, to hotels, to excursion providers, to restaurants. So if you want to have a change management, the tour operators are very important. Obviously, the hotels are also very important, but the tour operators link to a lot of facilities on your island. So this was our first target, to empower that network of the tour operators. And I'm happy that you had a discussion in your room with MauTurco, because that's what we did with MauTurco, to empower the network to find a good way forward. And the second is something new, a new understanding. And it is right now, the last 20, 30 years, sustainability was a concept, a mind concept for many people. But in this project, we define sustainability as an innovation ingredient, as an inherited concept to any kind of quality, to any kind of strategy, to any kind of product development. So sustainability becomes an ingredient of any kind of product tourism development, because so far products were developed for a market, but sometimes without taking into account the challenges. And for example, when we had this workshop with MauTurco, we started with the challenges, and we asked in the room, what kind of challenges do you want to address with a new product? That's a totally new way of thinking about that. I know that many of you are doing it already. I heard about very good stories and saw that already. The third point was mainstreaming this kind of tourism product that can create a positive impact. So I heard that we invited, for example, one of the favorite attitude hotels right now for the next workshop, because they launched a positive impact category. And this is addressing what we mean with that, creating a positive impact. And the last is really tourism generates sustainable solution to local challenges. So it's not about only serving, it's also serving the local challenges. Okay, so this was a vision of that project. And again, it's I think it's up to date, even if it was 2018. Luis, if you jump further. And this was the underlying concept. I think many of you heard about the footprint. So all the negative aspects. So we have emissions, we have waste, we have resource overuse, social consequences, water. This is what often is referred to sustainability, to reduce the negative impact. But this, I would love to have a discussion now with you and the team, is not the language of tourism. Tourism wants to be the one that serves, that smiles, that creates things. So if you are forced to talk about all the negative aspects, it's hard to create products around that. So CSCP, together with other universities and experts, created that pro-handprint concept that was the underlying logic of that project here. That is that we need to balance the positive handprint. We called it handprint, opposite to the footprint, because handprints are all the positive impacts you can create. Social well-being, if done well, community development, responsible sourcing, all that positive aspects that you can create with tourism is the handprint. And we balance these two aspects. You see it throughout the whole tools that we're presenting you, that of course we have to look at the footprints. And I think it's shown in the next slide, Luis. We have to focus on the footprint on the left side, reducing the footprint. And we could use the potential of improving the handprint. And if we do that, the basic vision of that whole project is to move sustainability out of a niche product. If you look at all the globalized market, around 5% of all hotels are certified. If you take that as an indicator, it's 5% is sustainable and the rest is, let's say, conventional or in the gray zone. So if we want to move from that one aspect of niche market to the mass market and from footprint to the handprint, that is about mainstreaming sustainable tourism. Use it as an innovation. And when we create new products, to really talk about sustainability as an innovation ingredient. So then we talk about customers, and then we talk about sustainability. And here you see it's in the middle of the strategy of the future of the tourism for and of Mauritius. Okay, if we go one step further, I just want to make that point. Darren prepared that slide and I like it very much because it really stresses why tour operators are so important. Again, hotels are playing their part, and I've seen amazingly innovative projects and really hotels on the island of Mauritius. I really admire what you are doing there. Here, we have a chance to really go for the tour operators, because actually tour operators are the spider, are really in the net. We have 900,000 packages sold through tour operators. We have 8.7 nights on average. We have around 360 tour operators. So they can actually be a very big multiplicator of what we are talking about. And they actually influence the whole value chain of tourism. So I don't know if you agree with me, but in hotel industry, it's quite, sustainability is really grasped. It's growing, but tour operating, it's a little bit behind, and that's why we pushed so much on the tour operating business and had pilot projects with tour operators on that. Okay, let's jump for the next, because I want to also show you the vision behind. And there are some questions about what is the main target group. Of course, it is tour operators, but at the same time, in parallel to this event, we have an event with local artisans, with local handicraft network, because we believe that this project is about everyone that should be involved in that kind of dynamic change of the system. So the vision is delivering higher value at lower footprint. If you really think about the trends, this is also a trend in the market. The numbers might get lower after COVID. Some say it's the other way around. But if you think about emission trading and all the aspects, there is a tendency, but people will demand more on sustainability aspects. So it's a networking. We are happy to have the lead partner, Mauritian Tourism Authority. We have suppliers, we have handicraft people. We have even a student course involved here. We have a training for travel agencies, local communities, NGOs. Next week, we have In 2 weeks, we have reef conservation. So it's a network of change that we are envisioning here. And it's not about us, it's about you to facilitate that network. And I want to give you one example. If you jump further, Luis, about how we designed the framework. So here you see the classical aspects of the footprint down there, like the typical topics you talk about: resource efficiency, pollution and emissions, biodiversity, community overload. As you've seen, they all have a negative tonality, which is okay because we have to think about that negative impact. But if we want to create change, psychology-wise, it's very important to empower your network to believe in something to change positive. So we invited, for example, at our workshops, we invited the employees of the tour operators to create something they always wanted to do. So the excursions we created were visiting local families, were visiting local people in their family network. And how can we do it with hygienic aspects and so on? How can we really become the humans that we want to express themselves, their natural values inside the companies they work for? This is what the handprint talks about. It talks about product attractiveness, customer awareness, quality aspects like authentic experiences, community development, employment, preservation of nature and culture. So this is basically the underlying concept of this project, to talk about the handprint as positive contribution. And we dive into that framework in the next 2 sessions, and to really apply it to your operations. And here are just some examples, because it's very theoretical what I'm saying here. But if you take, for example, a tour operator, the catamaran cruise is one of the best-selling products of any kind of tour operator on Mauritius. At the same time, when we analyze the product of catamaran cruise, it's not really sustainable. It has a lot of issues like fuel consumption, waste dumping, and all these aspects. So how can we actually make that main product more sustainable is one question. The other question is, there were small little products like honeymoon planting ebony trees, like wedding tours and so on, and really asking ourselves, how can we make that associated to a mass product? That was the second question. And the third question is, could we innovate products? And that's what we, for example, did with MauPHI, totally new products to the market, where we take the local challenges and create products around the local challenges. So these are the different aspects how we work with products. So here you see, we are not talking about the concept of certification of sustainability. We talk about sustainability as an ingredient to any kind of strategic development of you as a company. Okay, let's go on, Luis. And that's my summary of that, what I'm saying here. The overall vision is really to understand, and we hope we could make that clear, and I felt it in the discussion we had in the rooms, that sustainability is the new normal. We go into the direction of regeneration, and we want really provide you with the tools to apply it in your day-to-day operational businesses. So not as often we see sustainability as a desk research. Someone clicks, okay, we have this certificate, we need that criteria. No, we want to dive with you into product development, dive with you into how you set up your F&B services, how you do animation, how you do excursions, how you do mobility services. And based on that, one big question is how you all in these rooms, you 59 people or more, how could you co-create that? Because it's not about any kind of single company. It's about how you could create that together. If you have 5 hotels in one Bay Area, it's about really how you could cooperate together in that Bay Area, how you could cooperate as tour operators with hotels and the other way around. So it's about co-creation. It's not about competition. It's about co-creation of the future. So this I'm finishing because here you see again how we embedded that into that. So we are really diving with you now after this overview into your into your product, into your organization, into your product, and then into your how to measure progress, and then how to communicate it. So this, what I'm saying here, this concept of pro-handprint innovation, and then the 11 MauPHI criteria, we will now bring down to your day-to-day operations. And I really appreciated this 4 days workshop, what we did, for example, with the pilots on really integrating that. On the first day, we had the overview, and then we dived into every single operation of that company to apply that concept. So thanks so much for now. We will come back to that in the next sessions. But right now, we have a next interactive session, I believe, where we try to really come up with some of the solutions and think about how could actually the challenges that Louise presented could be solved with some of the concept that I presented to you, and to have a discussion about that.